I'm in Matthew 19 right now, and I've moved from the description of a rich young man coming to Jesus and asking how to have eternal life. And by the end of the conversation, we find that the man went away sorrowful because he had great wealth. He was not willing to give up his wealth to follow Jesus. Now, me as a Gentile, reading that, I focused on the difficulty of people choosing between Jesus and their material possessions, because we see that all the time. People are not willing to give up what they consider to be their wealth to follow Jesus, which often means losing wealth, losing promotions, losing positions. But this morning, as I continued in this, Jesus goes on to explain to his disciples how difficult it is for the rich to enter the kingdom of heaven. He said, it actually is easier to get a camel through the eye of a needle than to get a rich person into the kingdom. And the disciples are amazed. It's like, well, then how could anyone get in? And Jesus says, well, what is impossible for man is possible for God, which means anybody who comes to the cross of Jesus Christ, who repents of their sin, who denies themselves and takes up their cross to follow Jesus, has eternal life. What God showed me this morning was a little bit of the Jewish mind about this. Jesus' disciples and that rich young man were Jewish people who had grown up with their contemporary understanding of the covenant God had made through Moses. And the blessings of that covenant were material. The Jewish people would look at the wealthy among them as blessed, because that's what the covenant described. If you are walking with God, if you're obedient and faithful, then you get blessed with wealth, with children, with properties, with crops, with flocks and herds. The point being that when this young man came to Jesus, he was coming as a Jewish man who thought, I'm already blessed, as you can tell by how wealthy I am. What else do I need to do? And by the end of it, Jesus told him, if you want to follow me, sell everything you have, give it to the poor, and follow me. And he wasn't laying down a rule that we had to do that. He was showing this man that although he believed he was keeping the law, he was not willing to do the two greatest commandments: to love the Lord your God with all your heart and your soul and your mind and your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. So Jesus gave him a simple test. He, as God in the flesh, just instructed him to do something, and he said no. He clearly did not love God with all his heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the way Jesus said it was for the benefit of his neighbors, the poor. And he wasn't willing to do that either. So he clearly did not love his neighbor as himself. And Jesus did that simply to show him, no, you are not keeping the law. But the man went away sorrowful. And that wasn't just sorrowful because Jesus expected him to give up his riches. He was sorrowful because that clashed with his whole understanding of what it means to be blessed. To be blessed is to be wealthy, healthy, prosperous. And Jesus just said to follow him, you have to give that all up. That was way too much for him. As the disciples are grappling with that, Jesus simply is showing them that in the kingdom of heaven, it isn't just if you add to all the rules you're keeping, the rule that you sell everything you have and give it to the poor, that you have eternal life? No, that's not what he's saying. He was actually telling them, you need to leave a covenant that says you are blessed if you are wealthy. And what did Jesus say you have to experience to be in the kingdom of heaven? He said, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. See, the wealthy are typically proud in spirit. Look at me. Look what I've done. Look what I've attained. The poor in spirit were the prostitutes, the tax collectors, the drunks, the Jewish people who knew they were sinners. And they were coming into the kingdom when the wealthy, the religious elite who thought they were blessed, they were unwilling to come. As I share this today, I can give testimony to being in many church situations where the church has operated with the idea that if you are wealthy, if you're a good businessman, you are blessed. You're the ones we want on our boards because you show that you're blessed. You know how to handle money. But Jesus, his first beatitude was, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And what he showed with this young man, and then explaining this to the disciples, what he showed was many people who are wealthy and go to church are not in the kingdom of heaven. The poor in spirit are. And that's the invitation that God is making to you. There's actually someone coming, so I'll see you next time.